All right, let's go over max strength test number 2 for the 1RM bench press. So the 1RM bench press is basically the maximum weight the client can lift, surprisingly enough, on the bench press. So it's going to do upper body strength, pecs, delts, triceps, and have some engagement in the lower body, but that's not going to be an overwhelming thing. So from there, let's go into a little bit more detail about that. So it's really useful for intermediate to advanced lifters. Again, for a client who hasn't trained bench press and hasn't practiced the bench press, it is a terrible lift to do a 1RM test for, because the data you're going to do is not going to help them. Okay. Now, if they're working on improving their maximal strength, it's fantastic. And if they're powerlifting, it's even more important, because this is exactly what they're going to be tested on. Okay. So how to execute it? We want a quick warm-up, 5-10 minutes of light cardio to increase full body temperature, some dynamic stretches for the upper body. These are just examples. You can use the lifter's current warm-up routine that they already have. Is really, really useful. And then progressive loading. So again, we might start off with, my max bench press is 150. So this is how I would warm up for it. I would do 0 kilos as a bar, empty bar, for 10 to 20 reps, just to really, get the groove, get the positioning right, practice that. Then I normally go to 60 kilos. Then I increase in 20 kilo increments, and then 10 kilo increments. So I'll do 60 for between 5 to 10 reps, depending on how it feels off the chest. Then I'll go 80 kilos for 3 to 5, 100 for 3, and then it'll be like 110 for maybe 1 or 2 reps, depending how I feel. And then I'll go up in 10 kilo increments, doing 1 rep at a time. I might make a jump from 120 to 140 just because I'm comfortable with that jump. And that's having a bit of practice with doing that. Okay. So basically I keep on doing that while I have that. I keep on going while I can. If I have a spotter there, I ideally want that for the maximal rep attempt, simply because the risk of the bench press is it can fall on my chest. And due to the height of the spotter arms, you may not be safe in that. So the way to record it is the weight they can lift from 1 full repetition with a standardized technique, which for a bench press, I generally like touching and a pause on the chest. So neutral form. Now, in terms of a neutral spine, you don't need to do that. That's for a strength client. For a powerlifting client, they will have an arch. Okay. Chest must be touched by the barbell, full elbow extension, and 3 to 5 minutes rest is in between is ideal for this one. So elbow position. Now, this will depend if they're a strength athlete or a power athlete, a powerlifting athlete. A powerlifting athlete will generally have the arms as wide as they can to minimize the range of motion that they can comfortably do. For a strength athlete who's just doing the bench press as a tool, I would actually go for the most biomechanically advantageous grip, which is going to give you a 45-degree angle at the arm. It's basically just 1.5 times wider than shoulder width for most people. The bar path, chest contact, and core activation, all these things that we know, and we should be following these. It's a big breath in through the nose and the mouth, and holding that breath throughout the exercise to maximize the amount of intra-abdominal and also intra-chest pressure. Intrathoracic pressure is the correct thing. Now, what I generally don't want to do is have the feet come off the ground. I actually want them driven into the ground while we're doing that. If the elbows are flaring, the bar's moving all over the place, that's just something that you need to be aware of, just as a spotter, because if someone's moving all over the place, they're generally going to lose the rep at one point, which is certainly not ideal. So, implications. If they have a low 1RM, they need to do the bench. They need to basically have progressive overload strategies on the bench press, and also get stronger at their accessories to build up hypertrophy in those muscles. Now, moderate 1RM, okay, basically we need to start looking at where the strength deficiencies are, and when they've got a high 1RM, then we're looking at implementing specific bench techniques to improve that, and then also looking at periodization and maximizing different strength qualities at different time. So for each client, just like the squat, different technique for a different time. Now, in terms of some related tests, these ones aren't super important, but the wrist and elbow health are going to be the ones that might be the most important for that. Now, when not to perform it, beginner clients, not to do that. If someone has a poor current injury, and also clients with poor technique, I don't really worry about doing that. And from there, guys, that is how we perform the max 1RM bench test.